We're live from the HousingWire news desk at MBA Annual, and I'm thrilled to welcome Michael Sachdev of Snapdocs to this edition of HousingWire Instant Impact. Michael, could you briefly introduce yourself and Snapdocs?
Yeah, thanks for having me. My name's Mike, grew up in Pennsylvania, was a lawyer for 10 years. I was in solar finance for about 10 years, and then was looking for similar problems, intersection of regulation, tech, and consumer finance, but at greater scale. Joined Snapdocs about 3 years ago, was promoted to CEO about 2 years ago.
Yep. And you were a featured speaker at our AI Summit, and you did a great job.
Thank you.
By the way. And I think you really set the stage for AI adoption at companies. How do you think this current market is either contributing to or taking away from lenders looking at AI and adopting it into their tech stack?
It's a great question. I think like every new technology, whenever a new technology comes out, there's this wave of, wow, this is so cool. And then you have lots of companies trying to figure out how to apply it. And I think about prior waves. You look at the internet, late 90s. The internet was the foundational technology, and then all of these websites and web commerce and web search, these companies came up, and tons of them failed. And then we ended up, 5-6 years later, with a dominant search engine and a dominant commerce platform, just as an example, right? Mm-hmm. And that's sort of a journey. And I think we're going to see a really similar journey with AI, where a lot of people are trying to figure out how to use it, but I think we're going to start seeing some consolidation towards the right companies applying it in the right ways to the right problems.
And how do you think a lender can look at their P&L and kind of use that as a source of truth for how they're going to invest in technology and specifically AI?
It's a two-part answer to that question.
Yeah.
I think first, any operator should look at their P&L and use it as a source of truth of what to do or what to fix.
Yeah.
AI to me is just a tool. There's lots of tools. Start by looking at the P&L and just saying, where's my money going? Where am I losing money? What's going well? Are my gross margins in the right place? These sorts of inquiry. I think then when you start to identify where are the opportunities, then you can ask the question of, how do I fix that? If you think you have a revenue problem, as an example, it's not obvious to me that AI is going to get you more borrowers. And I haven't heard that use case. Maybe. But if you think you have a cost problem, right, AI is certainly a solution, but I think I would bring it still a level down. Going back to my last answer, you can't just say, I have AI, I'm going to make costs go away. You have to get very, very specific.
Yeah.
What is the process that you want to replace? Does the technology actually replace it? Does it do it at a high enough accuracy? How does it impact the people it touches? Will they be happy with it?
Well, let's get more specific.
Sure.
Let's talk about some of those processes where you think AI might be a fit in a lender tech stack.
Yeah. I really, and I said this at your HousingWire, your AI event, I really like AI for back office operational processes first, mm-hmm, for two reasons. One is those processes are hidden from the borrower for the most part, and so you don't have the additional risk of, if the AI makes a mistake, it's a really public and embarrassing mistake.
Right.
Secondly, a lot of the work that happens there tends to be high velocity, very repetitive. It's a little bit easier for AI to get those tasks right. I think when you start asking AI to make judgment, that's when you start getting into error rates and hallucination and these sorts of things. And so I've been saying for a while, I think really pursuing cost reduction and efficiency in the back office and in some of the operational tasks is the place to start.
And you can avoid maybe some of the regulatory and compliance issues if you start with the back office.
I wouldn't say fully avoid,
yeah,
I wouldn't say eliminate, but yeah, I do think, as a really simple example, if you're using AI to determine whether in a closed loan packet, all the pages, signatures, dates, and notary stamps are there, those are important questions, right? Because if they're not there, it may impact whether you can resell the loan, do you need to get docs re-signed, that kind of thing. But if you get those answers wrong, it has a financial impact. Mm-hmm. I don't think it has a regulatory impact. No regulator is going to come to you and say, you're now in trouble with some government agency because the notary didn't get a page signed. So yes, I would agree with that.
You work with a lot of lenders as clients, and a lot of lenders, if they've even started their journey with AI, are in the very early innings of that journey. What do you see as some of the common misperceptions and myths that lenders have about AI and how they can integrate it into their tech stack?
I don't know that there's misperceptions. I think there's just a lack of understanding of exactly what the technology does and the kinds of problems it can solve. When I look at what LLMs, that newest technology that we're all very excited about, they're really translation layers, right? Mm-hmm. They take a bunch of information, they translate it into another format. Maybe they distill a ton of information into a summary. Maybe they take a bunch of documents and they extract data and tell you what that data is. So I don't know that it's a misperception as much as it's getting really specific on the application. I hear lenders say, I'm going to throw AI at underwriting. That's too general. Like, what is the specific underwriting task you want to replace? And is the solution that you're bringing to that task the right solution to replace it?
So how are you integrating AI into your product that you're working with lenders on?
AI is in every product we sell because AI includes predictive, which has been around for at least 20 years. Our closings product will absorb documents from any DocGen type, and using a very robust, at this point it's seen millions of pages, a very robust model will determine what each page is, where the signatures go, where the notary stamps go, et cetera, and does that instantly at a 99.9% accuracy, really high accuracy. That's one product. We have a product that we are in early access with right now that we're releasing kind of at the end of this year, which is CD balancing. And CD balancing will take the CD and extract all of the fees from the fee fields and do it on both the lender CD and the title CD, and then actually compare the two and say, here's where they don't match so that you can make them match. That is actually a job that closers are spending 2-3 hours a day on. At the end of the month, they're spending like 4 hours a day on that job. It's a huge amount of work, but they're doing it with like calculators and pencils. And so there's the kind of operational back office thing that could go away. Really, really important job.
And is that a beta with
and
existing?
that's not to say that the job should go away. The job is really important. The task of like penciling it, calculating, looking for the email from title, that should all go away. It should supercharge the employee. Yep. The employee should be able to focus on the most important part of the job and not some of the taskier stuff.
Is that a beta with existing clients, or is that a more widely distributed beta at this point?
It's a beta with, I think, 4 or 5 existing clients, and we will look to distribute it in probably Q1.
As Snapdocs, you don't just work with lenders, you work with the entire housing ecosystem. So how are you deploying AI to bring that whole ecosystem together and facilitate the home buying transaction more effectively?
Yeah, we're really focused on the closing. And we did a survey this summer that I think 60% of borrowers are really unhappy with their closing process. And when you dig into why, it's actually, they have to travel, it costs them time, it costs them money, and then the docs still have errors at the end, and that's really common. And so when we look at the closing, the challenge in the closing is that you've got lender and title, and they have to collaborate on a very complex transaction with a lot of moving parts. And that collaboration is, at its core, really a passage of risk. At the end of the day, they can't trust each other's work, and they're both on the hook. And so they review and re-review each other's work multiple times in the closing process. When you bring AI to that, when you have both those parties on the platform, trusting the platform, and you bring AI to that, you can shorten the cycle time and reduce the errors. And so you can take a borrower experience that today, for most lenders, is from application to close, maybe 30 days. You could take multiple days off of that experience, and at the end of it, have fewer errors and potentially avoid going to a signing appointment, or at least going to a lengthy signing appointment because you've had a digital closeout.
Amazing. Michael, so great to catch up about Snapdocs.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Cheers.